We just saw two guys win $1 million for competing in Jiu-Jitsu. The initial Craig Jones Invitational is in the books, and on top of the $1 million matches, day 2 featured one of the weirdest Jiu-Jitsu matches of all time, one of the greatest Jiu-Jitsu matches of all time, one of the most high-profile women's super fights ever with Mackenzie Dern versus Fionn Davis. Also, they gave away Gordon's car to this chick. Welcome to the channel. Those of you who are new here, this is me, also known as That Jiu-Jitsu Guy. I cover all things Jiu-Jitsu as the name of the channel would imply. So if you are a Jiu-Jitsu nerd like I am, please hit that subscribe button. Craig Jones set out to challenge the ADCC monopoly on Jiu-Jitsu and affect some change and get athletes paid more money, and he definitely did that. Overall, I think the event was a huge success, and we will get into all the results in a minute. But first, this is what I think will be the biggest takeaway from CJI. ADCC is behind a paywall on Flow Grappling. Craig Jones Invitational, free on YouTube. And after day 1 of the CJI, there was over 1 million views on that first day. Obviously, ADCC day 1 was the same time as CJI day 2, and that recap video should already be out. Both of these videos should drop at the same time. And if all this part sounds familiar, it's because you watched that other video first and then jumped over here, which I appreciate you watching 2 videos. Let me know in the comments which video you think was better. Also, I'm doing my very best not to come across as super overwhelmed and very tired and just frazzled and scrambled, because trying to do all of these videos for all of these events and get them out as soon as possible and have them not be terrible videos is a lot of work. So thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for subscribing. And I'm sorry if you had to hear that disclaimer a second time. Okay, on to the fun stuff. In the super fights, I was very excited for the Fionn Davis versus Mackenzie Dern super fight, and this thing was all Fionn from the get-go. She was all over Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern was doing everything she could to survive, but to no avail, and she ultimately tapped. And right now, I don't see anyone who is going to beat Fionn Davis. Now, the much hyped super fight between Gabby Garcia and Craig Jones, I'll admit, partially expecting them to not actually do the match. I thought it was just gonna all be a big bit, and then when it was time for the match, something would happen that they were trying to be funny and they wouldn't actually do it, but they did. Craig wasn't exactly trying his best, and in the second round, he locked up a twister and a couple other submissions he hit on once he realized that Gabby was not willing to tap, and he obviously didn't want to hurt her. So ultimately, he worked his way to a rear naked choke and tapped Gabby via RNC. And considering I thought this was all just a bit coming in, I will admit that it was actually very fun to watch. And I am a person who has been critical of Gabby Garcia in the past, all the steroid stuff, and then, you know, fighting the old ladies in MMA in Japan. That wasn't super cool, but because of what she did in this match and how she was willing to go in and give it her all and bring in a lot of eyeballs to the sport because of the weird circus-like nature of this match, I will say good job, fair play to Gabby Garcia for this one. Now, in the $1 million matches, we'll start with the over 80 kilos because that's what they did in the event. And Nicky Rod made it to the finals coming off of 3 straight submission wins, and he was facing Felipe Andrew. And Nicky Rod kept his streak going. He submitted Felipe Andrew via rear naked choke, and he took home $1 million. $1 million. $1 million for winning a jiu-jitsu tournament. Nicky Rod promptly used his $1 million prize to call out Gordon Ryan and challenged him to a $1 million versus $1 million bet match. So at the time of this recording at 1:30 in the morning, we haven't seen a response from Gordon, which I'm sure will be coming. So subscribe to the channel so I can talk about that with you. Nicky Rod was also my pre-event pick to win over 80 kilos. So sometimes I do know what I'm talking about. So subscribe to the channel. In the under 80 kilos bracket, the Andrew Tackett versus Cade Ruotolo match was one of the best matches I have ever seen. No exaggeration. It was that good, that back and forth. It came down to the final round. Cade edged out a decision and moved on to the finals, where he fought against Levi Jones Leary. The final was more back and forth action, but it was Levi holding it down for us guard players, and the guard retention was incredible. He was throwing up submissions, but Cade just was getting frustrated and could not pass the guard. The tide in the match eventually started to turn in Cade's favor, and the judges ended up giving Cade the win, and again, $1 million for winning a jiu-jitsu tournament to Cade Ruotolo. And just go back a few minutes to think about these two guys are going out there in the 5th round. They know the whole match comes down to the 5th round, and they know one of them's going to win $1 million and the other is not. And the ability to go out there and put on the performance that they did with those stakes is just incredible. I honestly, I don't know how they do it, and I'd be freaking out if that was me in that situation. After the finals were done, Craig did come to the center of the alley and did announce that they are going to do CJI 2025, so it remains to be seen. How much did CJI shake up the game? After this year's ADCC, will ADCC have to make some changes? This Craig Jones Invitational, I think, was a huge success. It was so much fun, and I think it's exactly what Jiu-Jitsu needed, so we'll have to see if Craig can repeat that success next year. I hope that he can. And remember, we still have ADCC Day 2 to watch. I will be doing a recap video for that as well, where I'm going to break down everything that happened overall at that event and do some comparison to ADCC versus CJI, so please stay tuned for that. I'll get that out as soon as I can, as soon as ADCC Day 2 is wrapped. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm going to go to bed because it's super late and I'm exhausted. See you in the next one.